JLR investigates. Hello, good morning, everyone. We're going to talk about the case of Logan Clegg. This was a horrific crime that occurred in Concord, New Hampshire, April 2022. Logan Clegg was sentenced yesterday to 50 years to life in prison for the murders of an interracial couple from Concord, New Hampshire. And reason why I'm sharing this case is, one, this rocked a small community in Concord. I mean, this was devastating to the community how this happened, because this couple that lived in an apartment complex uh were walking on a nearby trail, like a hiking trail, a popular hiking trail, and this drifter guy, this guy that comes from out of state, that was living in tents in the area, killed them, right? And then lied to police and whatnot. But I also was there. I was also at that location there covering this case. And so what I'm going to do is two parts of this. One, we're going to share the court hearing of the judge sentencing him, and then I'm going to show the area where this happened. It's New Hampshire is beautiful. They actually have the slogan "Live Free or Die." I mean, it's clean, crisp air there, and it really shocked the area. That when I show you the footage, it just looks like a nice normal area, and then this dude, just this devil out of that from another state, comes in there and just terrorized this couple. So we're going to listen to the sentencing first, and then I'll show you the location. So we'll rock with the sentencing.
Before I go into my reasons for the sentences that I'm about to impose, I want to address two things. First, the defendant's suggestion that the Concord police somehow engaged in an effort to wrongfully convict him. I think the words that he used were something along the lines of to throw sand in the eyes of the people in an effort to do so. Let me be clear. There is absolutely no basis to that claim. Having sat through the trial in this case and the pretrial proceedings, there is no doubt in my mind the Concord police worked tirelessly and skillfully to bring the killer of Stephen and Wendy Reid to justice. They developed leads, they carefully considered evidence, and they put together all the evidence in this case demonstrating beyond a reasonable doubt. This wasn't just the Concord police. A jury of 12 people found that the defendant committed these murders. The suggestion that somehow his conviction in this case is the product of misconduct by the police is insulting, it's outrageous, and it's untrue. Nothing else reveals the sort of person who stands before me to make such a claim when the evidence suggests completely to the contrary. Let me address the family of Stephen and Wendy Reid. In my view, the most important people who are here today. Those were very powerful statements delivered in court and also provided to me in writing. I read each of them, and I listened carefully to all of you. I appreciate those words because they gave me a sense of who your parents were, who your brother was, who your family friend was, and I feel like I don't know them, but I have a sense of who they are, and I have a sense of what their absence means to each of you, not having them with you. Thought a lot about them in the months leading up to this trial and before today, and to have a clearer picture of not just the pictures that we saw of them in those woods, but the lives they lived and the difference they made to each of you is very powerful. Whenever I consider punishment, sentencing rather, I consider the purposes of sentencing. Punishment, general and specific deterrence, and rehabilitation. I've thought a lot about each of those here leading up to today and this morning. The arguments of counsel, statements by the victim's family, the defendant's prior background, and I want to be clear that as far as that's concerned, I'm not going to consider anything that did not result in a prior conviction of Mr. Clegg. There was some reference to a prior stabbing. It's my understanding that that did not result in a conviction. That's not going to be part of the sentence that I'm imposing today. But most importantly, I think about the circumstances surrounding the crimes themselves. The defendant has been convicted by a jury of the murders of Stephen and Wendy Reid, falsifying physical evidence and being a felon in possession of a handgun. As I said earlier, I listened carefully in the course of the trial to the testimony of witnesses, and I considered the evidence that was presented in the course of the trial. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this case before, during, and after trial. What makes this case so hard to comprehend, and some of the victim statements referenced that earlier today, is the question that may never be answered. Why? I don't have an answer for any of you today, and as I said, we may never have an answer to that question. But as I think about the appropriate sentences in this case for Mr. Clegg, there are some things that are clear. On the afternoon of April 18th, 2022, Stephen and Wendy Reid left their home and went for a walk. They went on a trail in the woods, a place many people from Concord go to mountain bike, walk their dogs, to hike, a place of peace. Shortly after they entered the woods, they encountered the defendant, by all accounts a total stranger to them before that day. For some incomprehensible reason, he pulled out his 9mm semi-automatic handgun and shot them multiple times, killing them. There's no question he had a 9mm handgun. The evidence came in about his purchase of that gun, and he was found with that gun when he was arrested in Vermont. As I think about this case, though, I've thought a lot about what Stephen and Wendy must have felt when the defendant pulled out that gun and started firing on them. No reason, no justification, the senseless, horrific murder of two innocent people. But what most of those moments have been like for them? Talking to each other, observed by a witness, entering the woods, having a normal conversation, and minutes later to have somebody pull a handgun and open fire on them. People who devoted their lives to each other, their family, and helping to make the world a better place. Violently shot by the defendant seconds after they encountered him. The defendant wasted no time hiding their bodies and trying to cover up his actions. He burned his nearby tent site, which included almost all of his worldly possessions, and fled Concord. He took steps to fly under the radar, hoping he would escape the consequences of his actions. Bought a ticket to Germany, a false Romanian passport, and amounted savings to get away. Those are not the actions of somebody trying to escape a probation violation. Those are the actions of a murderer in flight from his conduct. The question of sentencing in any case is hard. Most people who are sentenced will re-enter society at some point. The hope is that they will emerge from their punishment and their time in custody, rehabilitated and less likely to offend. For some people, however, who commit acts so senseless, so violent, and so terrible, the sentence needs to be crafted in a manner to make sure that they can never be in a position to hurt another innocent person. From my perspective, this is such a case. Any rehabilitation of the defendant should occur when he is safely in the four walls of the prison. Stephen and Wendy Reid were good people. They should have been able to enjoy their retirement together, their children, their family, and their friends, go on many hikes together. They should have been able to do that. Logan Clegg is a stone-cold, violent murderer, nothing more. He shot and killed Stephen and Wendy Reid for no reason. His statements today ring hollow. He deserves nothing less than a sentence that fully reflects the magnitude of his crimes, and for that reason, I'm going to fully impose the sentences as recommended by the state. On charge ID 202-7584, a finding of guilty is entered. The defendant is sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than life, nor less than 50 years. There is added to the minimum sentence a disciplinary period equal to 150 days for each year of the minimum term of the defendant's sentence to be prorated for any part of the year. He has pretrial confinement credit of 422 days. This sentence is stand committed commencing today. He shall pay restitution of $17,564.39, $3,878.08 to Lindsay Reid, $13,686.31 to the Victims' Compensation Fund. I know, given the sentences that I've imposed and his circumstances, that he has no ability to pay counsel fees and expenses. That order throughout for the rest of his life. He's to participate meaningfully in and complete any counseling, treatment, and educational programs as directed by the Correctional Authority or Probation Parole Officer. The Department of Corrections shall have the authority to award him earned time reductions against the minimum and maximum sentences for successful completion of programming while incarcerated. Law enforcement agencies may destroy the evidence and return it to its rightful owner. The defendant is ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all terms of the sentence. On charge ID 202-7585, finding he's guilty is entered on that charge of second-degree murder. The defendant is sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than life, nor less than 50 years. There is added to the minimum sentence a disciplinary period equal to 150 days for each year of the minimum term of the defendant's sentence to be prorated for any part of the year. The sentences to be served as follows. Stand committed. Sentences consecutive to the sentence that I just read. Again, no responsibility for counsel fees. And counseling treatment and educational programs as directed by the Correctional Authority or Probation Parole Officer. Subject to provisions of RSA 651A, the Department of Corrections shall have the authority to award him earned time reductions against the minimum maximum sentences for successful completion of programs while incarcerated. I truly hope he engages in rehabilitation, but there's no chance, if this sentence holds, that he will spend a day outside of the prison. Law enforcement agencies may destroy the evidence, or return it to its rightful owner. He's ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all terms of the sentence. The remaining charges in charge ID 209-1545 for falsifying physical evidence, 205-3093 for falsifying physical evidence, 205-3094 for falsifying physical evidence, 205-3095C for falsifying physical evidence, and 205-3096 for being a convicted felon in possession of a dangerous weapon. These sentences are identical and concurrent to the second consecutive life sentence, 50-year to life sentence that I've just imposed. Each of these sentences is as follows. The defendant is sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years, no less than 3.5 years. There is added to the minimum sentence disciplinary period equal to 150 days for each year of the minimum term of the defendant's sentence to be prorated for a part of the year. The sentence will be served as follows. Stand committed, consecutive. Again, these are all concurrent with each other and consecutive to the first sentence and concurrent with the second 50 to life sentence. Again, for each of these, no responsibility for counsel fees. Again, he is to participate in counseling, treatment, and educational programs as directed by the Correctional Authority, the Parole Officer. The Department of Corrections shall have the authority to award him earned time reductions against the minimum and maximum sentences for successful completion of programming while incarcerated. Law enforcement agencies may destroy the evidence or return it to its rightful owner. He's ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all terms of the sentence. Again, these are all identical and concurrent to each other. My hope in imposing these sentences that the defendant never again walks the streets as a free man and that no one else has to suffer the same fate as Stephen and Wendy. I hope that the family has peace. I wish you all the best. And that concludes the sentencing hearing. Thank you.
Rise to court.
Your Honor,
Yes.
may I make one request?
Yes.
With regard to restitution, that it be held in abeyance pending appeal, however, to the Victim Compensation Fund. I believe that there's $3,895 that's individual.
So, Your Honor, the state had requested that the total amount of restitution be determined within 30 days. We submitted an updated form yesterday, I believe, so the form you may have read off with regard to the total amount of restitution was incorrect.
Okay.
However, the form that would have been submitted yesterday would have indicated that the total be determined within 30 days. There was $13,686.31 to victims' comp, which was reflected in that original sentence, but the amount to Lindsay Reid was inaccurate. So the state is asking some additional time to be able to come up with that total amount.
So in terms of this request that be held in abeyance until after the appeal, but I think practically no money's going to change hands in the next 30 days. We
Agreed.
all recognize that. Any objection to that?
No, Judge.
Okay, I'll make it clear that.
Thank you, Judge.
Or is it recessed?
Justice, right? Justice was served, it looks like, with this particular case. You know what is wild about this is he's not even from there. Logan Clegg is not even from that state. He's from Utah, folks. And he was wanted he had burglary charges and a probation violation from Utah. And he just made his way to New Hampshire and then just lived out in the woods while he was wanted in Utah. He has no ties, zero ties whatsoever in the New Hampshire area. And for some reason chose that particular area right by the apartments where the Reids lived. And then the Reids went out for a walk. Nice people. Everyone speaks highly of them and just went out for a normal walk like a couple does, you know. Both have their life and they just want to go out for a nature walk. And this creep in the woods victimizes them. And then once he does what he does, he tries to cover and conceal, and he flees the state of New Hampshire. And then he was caught in Vermont with a one-way ticket to Germany. Like, this is like a monster that's not even from that area. And that's what's scary about drifters sometimes, you know, nomad type people. Like, he's not even from there. So, you know, it's scary to think that people that, you know, that aren't even from a community can just go into a community and destroy a family's life. And then he tried to escape. So he's caught. And like the judge said, he didn't technically get a life sentence, but the judge is like, you're not getting out, dude. And when the judge says that, the chances are of this dude ever getting out is probably slim to none. 50 to a life. So it's pretty wild. But I was there doing a report when I was up in that area. So I'm going to share some footage of me in the area, just show you the apartment complex. And I tried to find the trail. It's in back of there. But check this out. I'm going to show it to you right here. The footage.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am at the Alton Woods apartment complex in Concord, New Hampshire. A tragedy occurred in this area April 2022. Steve and Wendy Reid, residents of this apartment here, were shot to death on a walking trail not far from this location here. They were shot. It shocked the community. Steve and Wendy were actually an interracial couple, and they went out for a walk and they were found on a trail not far from here. Broken ground trails, Marsh Loop Trail. They were found shot to death, and it was a mystery who did this crime. I mean, they offered a $50,000 reward. The community was on edge. How could this happen in a relatively safe community? I mean, look, this is the apartment complex here. It's nice here, quiet. Police eventually arrested a 26-year-old drifter named Logan Clegg from Utah area. Managed to come all the way out here. Guy had probation issues out there in Utah and made his way to the community of Concord and murdered these two innocent people. He's going through the judicial process now. I'm going to take you to the location where Wendy and Steve were found. It's a very sad case, and I'm monitoring this case, and I'm monitoring the judicial proceedings of Logan, the suspect, the 26-year-old drifter. So I'm going to show you the location here right now. I'm going to take you to the Marsh Loop Trail from these apartments here, and we're going to go check out.
Take the next left toward Alton Woods Drive, then turn right onto Alton Woods Drive. Turn left onto Loudon Road.
Alton Woods. Now you can reach the trail from the back of the apartment complex, but I'm taking
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Old Loudon Road.
the roadway.
Turn left onto Old Loudon Road.
And I'm giving you an idea of what this community looks like. Outside their apartment complex, there is a mall over there. I see a J.C. Penney's and an Applebee's and a Chipotle and K Jewelers and Aspen Dental. And there is a Walmart right down the street from here. And it's all spaced out. Why would this individual come from all the way to Utah? Did he come specifically to target someone? Why would he target these two people walking on a trail? Why? A drifter from out of state. It's very, very sad. It's very, very sad that this would happen. And I'm praying for their families. The Reid's family, Wendy, Steve, both sides, both of their families. I mean, it's horrible. And shocking.
In a quarter mile, turn left toward Portsmouth Street.
Right up here, we'll be turning left.
Take the next left toward Portsmouth Street, then turn left onto Portsmouth Street. Take the next left onto Portsmouth Street.
But a drifter
In half a mile, your destination will be on the right.
from Utah way out here in a remote area. Look at the trees. It's beautiful out here. And this couple just wanted to go for a walk. There's the apartment complex over there on to the left.
Your destination is on the right.
So this is the trails area. There's a trailhead right over there. this was the general area where they were found shot. Let me spin back around. Turn around here. Right on the bridge. What happened? What happened? I see the trail. Marsh Loop. Look, Marsh Loop. Marsh Loop Trail. Trail goes there. Down that trail. Probably connected up here on the trail up here. Apartment complex over there on the other side of this bridge on the right. So sad. I'm covering this case. Good to come here to kind of get an understanding myself, a perspective on this. Unbelievable that a drifter from out of state would just come and do this to a couple in this community. You know, this country, people flop around the country and they go into communities and they terrorize it, and it's sad. It's very, very sad. So we'll talk soon. When this guy gets convicted, we'll talk about it. During his court cases, we'll talk about it. But I am in the area covering this tragedy. Stay tuned.
All right. Well, said when he gets convicted, well, he got convicted a few months ago, and he was sentenced to 50 years to life, right? It's just a tragedy. Hopefully the families can get some sort of closure with this. That courtroom was packed. A lot of supporters and friends and family, and I think the judge made the right call and let him have it. Unfortunately, the taxpayers of New Hampshire have to foot this dude's bill for the next 50 or so years. Praying for the Reids, praying for the community. Again, you saw that area. It's just shocking that I should have walked down the trail, but you could see just how it's woods. And you would never expect living in that area to just go and say, hey, I'm going to go walk on a popular trail. And then that happens. But covering other cases, Rachel Marin, Bel Air Trail. What about the person from the Vermont? The older woman from Vermont killed off a trail. So these trail things, I think, for me, I just think people should be more vigilant when they walk remote trails because it can happen anywhere. Scary out there, not many people out there, and the monsters are lurking in the woods. Well, at least they got one monster off the street with this. So that's a good thing, I think, right? Do we agree on this? But I appreciate everybody watching. Let me know what you think of this case. If you know anything about this you want to share, shoot me a message at JLR at JLR Investigates. Concord, New Hampshire is beautiful up there. I went there when I was there. I also did the Harmony Montgomery case. I was up in the area. I also did the Harmony Montgomery case. I was doing a bunch of things when I was up there, and I was like, I go here and check this case out since it was it's very, very sad and shocking to hear, particularly the stories about how these two community members were very, very well liked in their respective communities. So I see the comments coming in. Keep commenting. Let me know what you think. I am JLR Investigates. We cover true crime 24 hours, 365. So, all right, everyone, be safe. We'll talk soon. Stay tuned.